So IndyCar racing has its first American champion since 2012, and that American champion, whose name is Josef Newgarden, has a commemorative diecast released in the 1/18th scale by Greenlight. So let's get rid of this pesky diecast and take a look at the box. Ah, much better. So as they usually do for these special releases, unless of course your name is Fernando Alonso, then screw any special packaging we'll put on your figure edition. But anyway, they have designed a special package for this championship 2017 diecast, and in my opinion, it's probably one of their best efforts ever. Just look how beautiful this thing looks without a car in it. I mean, I love the name, Josef Newgarden, and there's actually some lines back there. There's definitely a sense of speed with the box. The color scheme is fantastic. They use the right color from the car, the kind of light blue and a little bit of gray in there. It really, really pops. It looks fantastic. Even though my box got a little bit smashed in shipping, I'm not really concerned about it. I buy the cars for the cars, not for the boxes. But let's take a closer look at this box. You have a photo of Josef Newgarden with the Astor Cup. You also have, of course, his name. Some nice livery design from the car on the box, as well as the championship logo. And then on the top, you'll again get the championship logo. On the side of the box, the sides of the boxes, I believe, are the same. You get Josef Newgarden, as a bad Lee Diffie impression would have said. And, of course, his car from Sonoma. You also get his name, championship logo, all that good stuff. But here's kind of a really cool thing that they've started to do is include stats on the back of some of these boxes. They did this with the Indy 500 164 3-pack, and they've done it here as well. So you've got starts, wins, poles, top fives, top 10, laps led, running at the finish. So he was running at the finish at all 16 of the 17 rounds, and points 642. I believe the only DNF of the season, ironically enough, was at the Indianapolis 500. He was caught up in the big one. He made a few laps, but I believe they parked it because why crash your car twice in one race when you're already pretty much out of it? And there's Josef celebrating his victory in the race and victory in the championship. Or victory in the championship. Didn't Pagenaud win the race? I can't remember. I honestly can't remember. That was a mistake. Actually, if I look at the wins, I could probably remember that. But yeah, that's look how much of a fan I am. Yeah, and then on the rest of the box is the same. So let's look at the main attraction, and hopefully I won't give any more factual inaccuracies. The diecast. So I went back in my memory banks, and yeah, indeed, Pagenaud won the race. Newgarden, ironically enough, finished second at Sonoma, but that was enough to get him the championship, and of course, that's all that really matters at Sonoma. Nobody's coming to Sonoma saying, I really want to win the GoPro Grand Prix. No, if you're going to Sonoma, you're really wanting to win the championship. Well, if you're mathematically eligible, of course, then probably you want the race win, but regardless, we got the diecast in front of us. Let's talk about it. And yes, indeed, I'm going to get the elephant in the room out of the way right now. It's a road course car, or based on a road course car, on an oval aero kit. I don't like it any more than you do, but this is what we got. To me, it's close enough to the Indy 500 livery that it doesn't really bother me all that much. Even the tires are red. They were red at Indianapolis, of course, because Firestone decided to do that weird thing with the tires this year. Bring back the white sidewalls, Firestone, for the Indy 500. It looks way better in photos. But anyway, let's take a look at this diecast because it is quite beautiful. And I have to say, in terms of aero-kitted diecast, this is probably one of Greenlight's best efforts, at least in terms of the ones that I have purchased over the years. They have actually gone above and beyond in a few aspects, which we'll take a look at here in just a second, actually adding some metal parts to this car that were previously not metal. So in terms of the livery, of course, it's the Hum car, which we've seen quite a few times over the course of the last couple of years. First time I remember seeing it was the 2015 or 2016 Grand Prix of Indianapolis, where Helio Castroneves had it. Then Juan Pablo Montoya had it at a couple races. Saw him actually run it at Pocono after he smashed up the Penske truck rental, Penske non-sponsored special, I guess you could call it. And then they gave Verizon a free race with the Hum car because it was the backup. And then, of course, this sponsorship transferred to Newgarden for this year. And ironically enough, it kind of turned into the second Verizon car. We didn't even see the number 2 Verizon car in the Verizon livery past, I think, Phoenix. So it was quite a while from that car having the livery that it was originally released with, ironically enough, for Greenlight, to this one, which is really, in my opinion, or at least in my estimation, the primary scheme, quote unquote, for Newgarden. So I'm not gonna hold you back on what the metal parts on this car are that are not metal, at least from what I've been able to tell. I looked through my collection. I could not find this metal part on any other Greenlight diecast. So I don't know if they're gonna do this for just this car or if they're gonna do it for all the ones coming. But the wheels are metal. The wheels, the OZ wheels. I checked this. I touched this all over. I touched it with my nose, which is kind of the thing you're supposed to do to be able to tell metal from plastic. If you touch it with your nose, you can tell it's colder than a plastic bit, like this sponsor blocker, which thank God on Greyhound, it's gone next year. But yeah, the OZ wheels are metal, and this may be the first time Greenlight has done this, but I applaud them for it because it is a fantastic detail, and honestly, it really made the wheels pop. When I was looking at it in the package, I'm like, what did they do to these wheels to make them really stand out? Because, of course, I have a few cars with chrome wheels. I've got the Pagano and I've got the Dixon from 2 years ago. This is just, I mean, it just popped in the package. It really, good job. And here's the other thing I wanted to discuss is that when I bought this, for whatever reason, maybe it's just because of the old Aero kit, they figure they better discount it. But it seems like prices are starting to level out back at $60, down from $70. So maybe they felt some pushback on that, and now they're going to go back to $60. We'll see when the new Aero kits come out or are released for purchase. I would imagine the blank white autograph car will be available shortly. So hopefully I'll be buying that and reviewing it for you guys. There you go. Safer, smarter, more connected. Or smarter, safer, more connected. That was some dyslexic stuff right there, even though I'm not dyslexic. But there we go. Beautiful paint scheme on this car, or livery. Sorry to you IndyCar purists out there. I do really like the light blue on this car. When I actually did the starting grid for the Indy 500, I actually kind of used that as his primary color to behind his number because I like that color so much. Definitely got some serious front wing in this, or some serious, not front wing, that's some front wing out. That is creating a lot of lift right there for the front wing. There you go, there's the Firestone Reds, and of course you guys took a look at that. We've got some sponsors inside the suspension bits, which are not metal. They're chromed, but they're plastic. And then you've got, of course, again, the sponsor blocker, which is empty, ironically enough. And then you've got the flick, which I shouldn't say ironically. I say ironically too much. But interestingly enough, on the 2018 IndyCar Aero kit, they actually kind of copied Chevy. The only thing they did was that they sealed this area off here between the side pod and the wheel flick. So Chevy, this is probably this air channel that they designed, probably one of the most innovative things we've seen in IndyCar racing in quite some time. So I really, really appreciate this. But the thing I really wanted to point out about this air flick was at Indianapolis, there was a Miller Lite logo on here. I was kind of hoping that this would come with a Miller Lite logo, but seeing as it's the Sonoma car and Miller Lite really only cares about the Indy 500 for IndyCar anymore, and it looks like they're not even really caring all that much about NASCAR anymore because they cut Brad Keselowski's sponsorship sort of similar to Target for this year. So who knows? Then we got the bumper, which is really nice. This is probably the best looking Penske bumper I've seen. The number's nice and big. A lot of times they base these on the Road Course Aero kit, and of course the Road Course Aero kit bumper kind of stops here. This whole part on top is only a part of the oval Aero kit, so they actually have to make the numbers smaller. But this, they got the number right. You also have a Verizon P1 award, and since we have to look at it, we have to see if it's the right year, because a lot of times, or sometimes, they will miss the year, and that looks like 2017 to me, so they got it right. Of course, you also have the P1 award in Verizon. Nice metal flake paint, very, very nice. And then, of course, the detail you always get on all the Team Penske diecast, doesn't matter what it is or what level of detail the diecast is, you always get the Team Penske logo on the rain light at the end of the gearbox. And of course there's the starter in there, and then there's the ramps that when the Chevys got backwards, that's how they took off. So to those of you who say the bumpers are safer, just a reminder that the bumpers were the reason the friggin' Chevys were taken off. But anyway, again, bumper arguing is a moot point as well here. Then you've got the leader light, easy for me to say. And ironically enough, this is like the first time they put a leader light on a championship car that has not had that number 1 lit up, or not a championship car, but like a specialty diecast, has not had that lit up. You'd think it'd be lit up number 2 for his position in the race, or for the fact that his number is 2, but they left it blank. Honestly, it looks a little bit better blank. I would actually prefer if they kept these blank most of the time, because I think it looks slightly better, but you never know. And of course, Chevy Power! Nitro Plus! Oh, this isn't an Elio car. Sorry. Triple A! Actually, is Triple A even on this car? It is not. It is not, but Discount Tire is. Here's a little kind of a final closing thought on this, by the way. After looking at IndyCar preseason testing from Sonoma, ironically enough, honestly, and this is going to really be controversial, I think, I prefer the livery from this year. From 2017 to the 2018 livery. For whatever reason, Penske really did a good job of making the fairly gangly-looking aero kits look good. And ironically enough, those schemes don't really translate to the definitely more beautiful 2018 aero kit. So honestly, this one looks better. In terms of paint, obviously, not so much about the actual aerodynamic shape of the car. However, I will say the Chevy was always the more handsome of the two between the Honda and the Chevrolet aero kits. And I still kind of miss the aero kits. But anyway, have you picked this up? I got it on eBay, $60 shipped. So if that's your question you've asked in the comments, I'm sorry I left it towards the end. Maybe I'll put it in the description. But yeah, I shipped it for $60 to my house. These have just come in. Most of them are in California right now, so it'll probably take you about 5 days to get it if you're on the East Coast. But yeah, let me know down in the comments if you want this, if you're looking to pick it up, if you're a Josef Newgarden fan. If you're not a Josef Newgarden fan, why have you watched the video this long? But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. This has been David Land on YouTube, and we'll see you in the next video.